We talk about oil. Of course, this nation speaks to T. Boone Pickens. Boone, good noon to you.
Thanks, Tom.
Boone, you talked about $100 oil. You and many others were right. Given the dynamics you've seen of the recent weeks, how high can we go in the next 2, 3, 4 months?
Well, you know, now you've asked a question that, geopolitics can be a big factor in answering the question. And I can tell you that the Mideast is in real turmoil. It's on fire. And I don't think our media has picked up on it. Once the Egypt deal moved out of the way, and then Libya, there are others, Oman, Algeria, even the Saudis, there may be something stirring there. The Iranians may have another, problem. So I don't know where you go.
Right.
You start taking some of that oil off the market, and the price can go anywhere.
Well, you're taking shots at the media today. It's a nice way to start off the week here on a Monday. What would you like to see me do to cover oil better?
Oh, I don't know. We spend too much time on the Wisconsin deal, and we know, everybody knows that they're not going to shut down the government, but I have to watch that for a lot of the day. But focus on the real problem for me. But, like somebody said, Pickens, the only subject is energy. And that's right. That may be the case. But you're gonna see oil go up from here. And how high up, I can't tell you. But if it went to 120, if it went to 150, that could all happen.
Boone, let's look at this first chart here. It's just dreaded first chart, folks. A definition of persistent. Boone, this is the key question of this show. We had a spike up to $140 on oil 2 years ago. What does persistent or sustained oil prices mean to you? How do you define that?
Well, I think that, sustained oil prices, I guess it's, well, see, let's go back to 2 years ago when it ran up to $147. I think you were killing demand very fast at around 120. And then it ran on up and then fell off, and then we went into a global recession, and the price went all the way down to $33. So I believe if you have a global economy that is, say, doing okay, that you can probably stand oil prices up to 120. But when you get supply, and I think supply is getting pretty well all it can do globally, which is around 88 million barrels a day, and you're projecting fourth quarter at 90 million barrels a day. So something's got to happen between now and the fourth quarter. But if supply is capped, if you're reaching max supply now, then the only way you're going to kill demand is with price.
Okay, Boone, I want to bring this up. Victor, get over here and look at this real Arab light. Like, if Victor's looking like Oscar ready, who are you wearing? Victor, who are you wearing today? You're styling. Okay, here's oil in 2011 dollars. Boone, this is inflation-adjusted oil. And in the middle of this chart, folks, is a really important. Victor, see that line right in the middle of the chart dropping down like a cliff? T. Boone Pickens, what happened in 1986, and can we tell OPEC what to do again?
86?
That's when the price of oil dropped like a rock.
That's when it went down to under $10.
Yeah. Can we do that? Can we do that again to OPEC?
Well, what happened then was that you had oversupply is what you had, and consequently everybody was trying to sell into the market, which was OPEC, and consequently, well, you oversupplied the market like any other commodity. You have too much corn, it'll go down.
Right.
Shortage, and it'll go up. Right now, I think you're not going to go back to 86, I can tell you that.
Well, Boone, I love this number you've got here, $730,711 per minute. Do we just blame this on the Middle East, or can we blame Canada as well?
Wait a minute. blame ourselves. We're the problem. Hell, those people are just selling us oil.
Well, you talk about policy today versus 15 years from now. Politicians love to kick the can down the road. What's the number one thing you need from President Obama right now?
An energy plan. We've gone 40 years and never had an energy plan. We're the largest user of oil in the world. We use almost 25% of all the oil used every day, with 4% of the population, and we have no energy plan. None, zero. So let's, focus on ourselves. We're the problem.
Would the senators...
I do. Pardon me?
Well, Boone, would the senators from Texas support a gas tax, even if it was a dedicated gas tax?
Do you think a gas tax will solve it?
I'm here to do the interview, Boone. I'm suggesting that a gas tax is talked about and we get nowhere with it. If we had a dedicated gas tax that went to your Pickens plan to move natural gas, to move infrastructure and electric, to improve our electric grid, would that be a good way to do it?
Well, there's no question that the money could be used for a grid and to fund the Pickens plan, but the Pickens plan is a cheap fix, but it's not going to fix everything. What you got to do is get on your own resources. Get on your own resources. In the meantime, thank Canada for having the oil. I don't thank the OPEC countries, because they are, no question, they set the price of oil, so it's not a free market. Part of the money you're paying for OPEC oil is going to the Taliban, so you're paying for both sides of the war. Now, stop right there and look at yourself, and you look pretty stupid. If you have resources to use and you're using the enemy's resources, not good.
Right.
So here, get on your own resources. Our oil industry in the United States is doing very well. These guys are working like hell, and they're finding oil, and our oil production in the United States is up slightly. But we can take care of ourselves if we just understand the problem, get an energy plan, and then carry it out.
Boone, let's talk about the Middle East. Earlier this morning, folks, on Bloomberg Surveillance, I spoke with Elliot Abrams of the Council on Foreign Relations, and I asked him his take on how U.S. foreign policy, how it's affected by its dependency on foreign oil.
I hope that one of the things that this teaches us is, yet again, to move away from the dependence on Arab oil. The oil producers have generally been some of the most retrograde countries when it comes to reform.
So there's Elliot Abrams, folks, talking really tough language on Bloomberg Surveillance. Team Boone Pickens, we've been doing this for years. I was a younger person, like a child, when we started this debate. How do you project a policy to the Middle East, given this new turmoil there? What should the oil companies do, or what should our government do as we look at this turmoil in the Middle East?
Well, look, I don't see dictating to people in the Middle East. From what position do we dictate? We need the oil desperately, and we have resources here. Develop your own resources. People around the world think we're stupid that we look to the Middle East to solve all of our energy problems. If you don't do anything, which you haven't for 40 years, if you don't do anything for the next 10 years, you'll be paying $300 a barrel for the oil. It's that simple. I mean, it's going to happen.
I want to bring up chart 4 here, if you would, Victor. This is Cushing, Oklahoma, folks. This is the bottleneck. Boone Pickens knows it well. This is the Cushing, Oklahoma stock, and you can see they're up to their eyeballs in oil in Cushing. And Boone Pickens, this really goes to your Pickens plan and infrastructure. Is our issue that we've got the oil and we can't move it around efficiently, or is it more than that?
Oh, you can move the oil around efficiently. There's plenty of infrastructure to move oil. And I want to get on natural gas for heavy-duty trucks. Well, natural gas is the most widely distributed resource in America. It's up every street and down every alley. There's no trick to infrastructure. And don't think the government has to pay for the infrastructure. Industry can pay for that.
Well, how would you do natural gas? Give us an update, you know, the new amendments to the Pickens plan. You stated earlier we do not have an energy policy. What should be our natural gas policy?
Well, I think that we're going to get a Natural Gas Act, and it will pass before July the 4th. It'll pass in the House overwhelmingly. You'll have over 300 votes for it, and it'll move to the Senate quickly and be passed this year. So you're going to have the start. That's not the total energy plan, but it will be the first step to an energy plan for America.
Let's talk about the backdrop of this. Bring up elegant chart 2 here, folks. This is a chart we've shown before, Boone. We normalized oil demand in China and for the rest of the developed OECD, and it's no surprise, folks. The yellow line is the developed world demand for oil. It's even rolled over a little, as T. Boone Pickens talked about, at $120 a barrel a few years ago. But look at China's demand, up about 80% over 10 years. Remarkable, Boone. How do we manage our oil policy given China with their insatiable demand?
Well, the first thing is that China, we're using 20 million barrels a day. China uses 10. We import 13. China imports 5. So China is way behind us on the use of oil. But the Chinese have spent over $200 billion buying and tying up, getting calls on oil. Can you imagine today, we spent $1.5 trillion, lost 5,000 people, and had 31,000 injured in Iraq? And guess who got the oil in Iraq? That's right, China. We got none of it. So we don't look after our business is one thing.
When you look, Boone, just one final question, if we could. When you look here at the Pickens plan, and now we're back to the $100 a barrel oil that you predicted, Brent and NYMEX is spread so wide, the tensions that are out there, are any politicians listening to you in Washington?
Oh, no question. I told you we're going to have, the House is going to pass this bill before July 4th. So they're working hard on it. I've met with them. Yes, they understand it, and they know that we have resources that we should be using instead of OPEC's oil.
Now, Boone Pickens, thank you so much. T. Boone Pickens, folks, on oil.